board meeting on Monday, August 17th, 2020. And we'll open with a silent prayer meditation. All right, please join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Which we have roll call.
Mayor Berman.
Oh, I'm sorry. We missed Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance. Did we have a Pledge of Allegiance?
We did.
We already did that.
Roll call.
Mayor Berman.
Here.
Trustee Gaffino.
Here.
Trustee Gately.
Here.
Trustee Lowry.
Here.
Trustee Martinez.
Here.
Trustee Carroll said he would be absent tonight, and Trustee Curtis, who is also said to be absent tonight.
I have no comments as village president. Any committee reports?
Nope.
Trustee comment. Consent agenda.
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. No discussion.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Very good. Our first item of business.
Thank you, Mayor.
John Laskowski, is that your?
Yes. The first item of business is approval to award a 4-year contract for snow and ice removal services to Tri-County Excavating. This is the second time we've put a proposal out for these services. The first time was in 2017. There was a couple changes in the specs for this year. We changed the response time, reduced that from 1 hour down to 45 minutes. And the reason for that was to align that with the response time that we require of our employees. So we figured that it would be a even way to get everybody there at the same time within the same window. The contract itself is a 4-year contract. In the past, it was a 3-year with an option. This 4-year contract does have an option to get out of the contract by either party after with a 30-day written notice. We received only one proposal this time from Tri-County. We were anticipating getting 3 this year. Brancato contacted the street superintendent, asked for the route maps, and never responded with a proposal. And I had a conversation with a representative from Millhouse, which is kind of an engineering / services firm. They questioned if municipal experience was required. And I responded, yes, that it was. And the gentleman on the phone told me that he'd be getting me a proposal, but at the deadline, he never submitted one. So the one proposal we did receive was from Tri-County. They've been responsive in the past. They've had 15 years in experience in our town, 8 years in Aurora, 2 years in Naperville. They're familiar with the routes. They've been responsive when they do strike mailboxes. Taking a look at the prices they offered us, I asked the street superintendent to take the equipment they proposed with the prices and run through a simulation storm. So he ran it through an imaginary 2-inch storm event, which is kind of a typical storm we would get for the season. And the cost of the increase based on the new prices would have been $194 greater than the past year. So it seems that the prices are in line with what we would expect over the life of the contract. There's about a 1 to 3% increase on the equipment that they're proposing. And based on kind of the rates that they're proposing and their experience and the responsiveness, it'd be the staff recommendation to award them the proposal.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
I just like to add, you know, I looked over their pricing as well, and it's very competitive. And, you know, they've always done a real good job for us. So I'm very, very much in favor of it. Yeah, they do good work and they're there. And it's kind of a hard thing to do, to have that kind of equipment to do what we ask them to do. So it's probably is limited who can really do that. But yeah, I see why we don't do the 4 years. So I'm real pleased with it.
Okay.
You know what I like is the detail, John, that you present to us on your proposals. And I think you do a great job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Evaluating what the bids are and what it means to us. So I really appreciate that. Any other discussion? You call the roll, please.
Trustee Gaffino?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
All right. Item number 2, John, that's yours also.
Yes, Mayor. This item is the consideration of the bids for the 2020 replacement project. In this instance, staff is looking to recommend rejection of the bids. This was a different situation. We only received 2 bids for the tree replacement program, and they were higher than we expected. Our budget was $42,000. The low bidder was $49,000, and then we got an outlier bidding in at $72,000. We contacted the low bidder from last year, Acres Landscaping, and indicated to them that the proposal was out. And that's kind of typical practice with our bidding. If somebody was a low bidder in the past, we'd reach out to them and let them know that we have a new program open for bid. In this instance, they indicated that they were going to bid the project. And today, when Brian followed up with them, just kind of wondering why we didn't see a bid from them, they indicated that they read the time for submittal of the bids wrong. And since we were opening the snow removal services at 4:30, they thought that their bid was due at 4:30 instead of 9 o'clock when we were receiving these. So that was kind of one of the little issues that we had with the bids here. Looking over the past years, we've been declining on the number of bidders that have been submitting bids to us. In 2017, I don't have a table for it in the memo, but I looked back and we had 13 companies bid. In the very next year, that was reduced to 4. And there wasn't any changes that were real significant in the specs other than adding a different species of tree here and there. So I couldn't account for why so many chose not to bid again. And then from there, moving on, Americana won, but we found them to be unresponsive in 2019 or 2018 because they never came back and replaced our trees that had died as part of the contract. So what we've changed this year with these specifications is we've added a provision where we're going to hold $2,500 from the low bid contractor for a year after the contract's awarded to make sure that that company does come back and replace any trees that died under warranty. And if they don't, we would use that money then to plant the trees that had died and purchase those on our own. So in this case, even though we had a low bidder close to our budget amount of $42,000, it'd be the staff recommendation to rebid the project. And in doing so, we've had some input from individuals giving us some other additional names for tree planting companies, and we would reach out to those and make sure that the low bidder also from last year was informed of the new time and date of the project.
Motion to reject all bids for the tree placement project.
Second.
You know, my comment is, do you think the restriction we placed on them to guarantee was the reason for their bids?
I had thought about that some, Mayor, and what I kind of thought about was it's not a large sum of money to a bigger company, but maybe to a smaller company, it might be a barrier. So I think for municipal work, we're kind of looking for maybe a middle to larger scale company just to handle the amount of trees we do plant. So I don't necessarily think it would be a barrier to those companies we'd expect to be bidding this job.
Well, that's a significant amount of money.
It is, yeah.
I can tell you though, from and I shared this already with Steve Basco, that Acres, they grow their own trees, so they're kind of ahead of the curve. A lot of these other contractors have to buy them from a nursery, so right there is additional cost. Plus, you know, as far as the warranty goes, you know, when you drop 100 trees in, I think Steve said 10% or whatever, maybe don't make it. But, you know, it is a risk when you're leaving a living thing at a house and you're hoping the resident waters it, and a lot of times they don't. So it could be, you know.
The question is, who should have that risk? And, you know, and if they're willing to accept it, they're going to charge us for it. I mean, it's not.
Oh, they are charging a per tree for that risk. Oh, they certainly are. So they're going to add 5% on each tree. So when they cover their 10%, there's coverage. So if you don't have that, it'll probably drop down to some price. But
well, that goes into the, you know, the increase in their proposal.
Oh, right.
So I think we have to accept that.
Yeah, nothing's free. So they build that into each tree. Yeah, they build that into each tree.
We're going to pay for whatever.
Right.
I guess I would just add that we are going to be rebidding. If we do choose to rebid the specs, I can make any modification to the bid specs before they go out. So if that's something you would consider.
My other thought would be go to 2 or 2.5 inch, because I told you last year the 3 inch, you were doing the nursery a favor, because once they get bigger than 3 inch, they have to do a tree spay a lot of times. They're hard to move 3 or 4 inch trees. So when you buy them at 3 inch, it was good for us, but it was really good for them. So, but 2.5 is more common. So there's not a lot of 3 inch trees out there right now.
How about for going to guarantee?
Well, yeah, but then I feel that then we get stuck with a bunch of dead trees.
Right.
Well,
we'll have to cover that then.
Yeah.
Unless it's significantly cheaper, you know what I mean, if they drop the price down.
You got
I think it's better for the company.
Right?
Yeah, but I think it's better for the company to give us a guarantee, and then that way we don't have to worry about replanting trees.
Okay.
And the quality work might be better too.
Yeah. Okay.
I would point out too that in 2018, when Americana won, they were the company that chose to forego their obligation for the warranty. They were also the low bidder in 2019, and at that time we didn't award them the project because they didn't fulfill their end of the bargain with that.
Right.
Well, I can see where they would ignore that part of them. As you know, that's a risk all the way around. It's an expense for them to come and water it if that's what's needed. You know, we need to come up with something that makes the homeowner responsible for taking care of it.
Well, don't we have that in our ordinance? The third tree, if this is the second tree, the third tree, there's more of a fee. Isn't there, Bill or Steve? I thought we had something in there on that when we replaced it the third time. There's a bigger fee to the resident.
I have to look that up. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. We wanted to do that so they would take ownership of the tree and not just leave it up to somebody else.
Yeah.
We do have door hangers that we place when they do plant the trees, just so the resident is informed of what the watering expectations are.
Right, that's great.
We really can't depend on the homeowner. We really can't. I guess we have to make sure that we do it through the bidding process and a guarantee on their part. So.
Well,
yeah,
they're not going to.
They need to guarantee us, and if they charge us a little more, well, then that's what we have to just do with it.
Right. I think they figured 10% or less fail, so that's not lots of trees. So
I guess just in summary, I'll plan on leaving the guarantee in there and the $2,500 money that we're holding, and then would we want to drop the diameter of the tree to 2.5 then?
I would, because I think there's more out there. I think it's hard to get a 3-inch tree. I checked with the nursery today and they said the same thing. So, and they're more costly. So,
is the viability of a 2.5 better than a 3-inch?
My opinion, it is. The smaller tree, the easier is to take. Yep.
Good.
Yep. You're only gaining a year. You get about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch a year. So I mean, you're just looking at a year's difference in maturity. So It's not like you're getting a 10-year-old tree or 11-year-old tree. So they say the smaller ones take better.
John, have you
Yes.
gone out there with your measurement and made sure all those trees were 3 inches?
Yeah, Brian and I actually do take our annual trip to the nursery, and we have the instrument to try to get them as close. There's a little horse trading sometimes, but we try to get them as close as we can.
Well, it's funny you say that, because some of them trees a few years ago looked like toothpicks. I mean, they snuck some 1/2 inchers in there and looked like weeds kind of. So yeah, that'd be good.
Trustee Gaffino, to your point, in the village code, you're correct. It says the third time that a tree in a parkway lying within or abutting a private property dies, the owner of the private property shall be responsible for paying $100 for the replacement of that parkway tree, unless they can prove.
But we never do that.
That's actually in the code, yeah.
But do we ever inform them that that's what they have to do? John, do we do that?
No, I don't believe that that's something
Well,
we
maybe that's our
inform
fault.
them.
Maybe we've been negligent and tell them that what their responsibility is.
Yeah, we can certainly leave a letter at the door, or maybe change the door hanger to include that somehow.
That way they take some ownership for watering.
You know, well, they're all interested in their own trees. They really are.
Sure they are.
You know, maybe we need to just tell them that, hey, it's your responsibility. Get out there and water it. Not that difficult.
Yeah.
The other things we said we would do, and John mentioned it, was we'll reach out. We'll try to cast a wider net. We'll try to reach out to maybe some nurseries and other places where maybe they can send this out, or some associations, and they can send it out to more landscaping companies to get more bidders.
I think dropping the size will be beneficial too, and it'll probably be a little cheaper on top of it. So.
Okay. Definitely. Exactly.
If they have a better chance of survival and taking, I mean, it's like we're probably much better off that way too.
Right.
But can we replace my Norway maple in the front?
Is that in the parkway?
Oh, damn it. No, not quite. All right.
I think we have a motion we need to vote on.
Any further discussion? Would Steve call the roll?
Trustee Gaffino?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
And Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Very good. Item number 3, Mr. Hanna.
Mr. Mayor, item number 3 is approval of the second budget amendment for the prior fiscal year. We're in the process of wrapping up our audit. A couple items that require a budget amendment to the prior year concern some timing issues with some expenses that we had. Typically, every year we have an annual street crack filling maintenance program. Based on some timing of when those programs actually were completed, we actually had 2 annual programs completed in 1 fiscal year. So again, just a timing issue. So we need a budget amendment of $95,000 to address that. The other item is the special service area Oak Hill. We increased the levy from $5,000 to $10,000 last levy year. The maintenance activities associated with that increase were anticipated to be done after June 1st. However, they were done prior to June 1st. So we just need a budget amendment of $9,500 to cover the cost of those improvements being done prior to the end of the fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. My comment. Item number 1. What do we gain by changing the budget?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear it.
What do we gain by changing the budget?
It just corrects the authorization for spending at the budgetary fund level. So really the only difference is we don't have a note in our comprehensive annual financial report that we exceeded budget at the fund level, because the fund level is really the legal level of budgetary control. So it's really a cleanup budget amendment just to address some things that occurred at the fund level that weren't anticipated. So it's pretty common.
Okay. All right. What difference does it make, I guess?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gaffino?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Thank you, Tom. Item number 4. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 4 is a special event request for the business that's opening soon in the North Aurora Town Center, the Rustic Fox, on Saturday, September 5th. From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., they'd like to have a grand opening event, and they would like to have more than one mobile food vendor, and by our code that requires a special event permit.
Motion approved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Trustee Gaffino?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
And Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Item number 5, Mr. Toth.
Yeah, item number 5 is an ordinance approving a temporary use permit for the property at 119 Butterfield Road as a motor vehicle repair and service use. As you recall, this was discussed on August 3rd with the committee of the whole. The ordinance before you tonight would allow for a 6-month temporary use of the property for the motor vehicle and service repair for Red's Garage. There are 4 conditions of the ordinance that we've laid out on the second page of the staff report. The first being that the parking lot be striped. That work was completed last week. The second being that they actually seek the appropriate zoning measurements. I actually did receive a zoning application the Thursday following the previous board meeting. So they are an application. They will be going to the September 1st Plan Commission meeting for a text amendment. And the last 2 conditions are basically disclaimers that the temporary use is not going to guarantee that there would be permanent use of the property and that any future zoning would be approved. So we do have the ordinance here tonight for approval, and any questions you might have.
Motion approved.
Second.
Well, I drove there, and I think they want to use the property, and I guess my only concern would be the fencing between them and the neighbors. But let's wait and see what the Planning Commission does.
This is the place in Butterfield, correct? Butterfield Road?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I also had a chance to drive through there, and I think they're doing everything they can to just put food on their table. So
Administrator Bosco had a conversation with the Oswego mayor, and they're very sorry to see them leave Oswego, and said they've been a very good part of their community. So if we don't approve it, they would accept them back without any effort. So
I think it's a nice fit over there. I think it's a good use of the property. Like I said, the way they got there was probably not the best way this all transpired, but I don't think nobody can argue that it is not a nice fit there. So I went and talked to them as well a couple weeks ago, and it sure looks a lot nicer than it was when it was a shed company. So like Dale said, we'll see where it lands with the Plan Commission.
maybe they'll make a nice donation to our North Aurora Day. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gaffino?
Yes.
Trustee Gately,
Yes.
Trustee Lowry,
Yes.
and Trustee Martinez.
Yes.
And Mr. Toad. That's it.
Thank you.
Old business, non-village, I have nothing to say. Committee reports. Trustee comments. Mr. Bosco?
No report tonight, thank you.
Mr. Attorney, you're very quiet. Oh.
That's because I was muted, but I have no report.
Thank you. Finance, Mr. Hannah.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Community Development, Mr. Toth.
No report, Mayor.
Police, Chief.
No report tonight, sir.
We're happy to have you at the meeting tonight.
Happy to be here.
Public Works, Mr. Laskowski.
No report.
Executive, no, I entertain a motion to adjourn. You'll count.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Call meeting to start shortly.